Now you took some time off and then you returned with some tribal style annex as face paint and worked Sting, but the feud ended before it even begun. What happened there?
Okay, well, first of all, Vince Russo came to me and said, this is going to be what we're going to do to get you over, getting you with Sting and doing this angle with Sting. So I want you to think about, we're going to have you look different. We want you to grow a beard, maybe grow your hair out. We want you to maybe think about doing a face tattoo, things like that.
Can you grow your hair out? That's a good question.
I did. It was horrible, dude. I can't. I have like, it doesn't take me very long to go from like Jason Statham to like Jason Alexander.
Okay.
So like, there was a couple times, and if you watch some of the old, not old, but I mean, around the same period of time, if you see some Ring of Honor stuff, you could see that I've grown my hair out. And I think there's a match in New York with me and Seidel against Austin and Roddy, where I've grown my hair out, and you could tell it's just, I'm bald here, and it's just rotten. I hated it. So like, after a while, I just shaved my head again and didn't tell them.
Sorry
because
to
it
sidetrack you.
No, that's not at all. So anyway, he said, this is going to be the deal. We're going to do this angle with Sting, and we want you to be, I don't know if it was me or him, but it was almost like, my mentality was, I wanted to get to be the fallen angel, like, as much as I could. This was the fallen angel character that I wanted to be. This guy that thought that God was on his side, that he was God's chosen wrestler, and like everybody else, didn't have God on their side. And so the thought process that I went into was, the story was, I was going through losses, I was going through hard times in TNA, and Sting's response to me as a locker room leader, Sting was supposed to be like, Chris, when I go through hard times, I go to the Bible, I look to this. So my thought process was, I read the Bible, and I read about the Old Testament God, who is eye for an eye, and you do unto others, and if you did wrong, then I smite down. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. That sort of thing. And that was the mentality. Like, I was going to come back and play a character who, the fans, like, the bad things that happened to people, it was because they were bad, and God was smiting them down. So, like, I wanted to come out on television and go, you know why 9/11 happened? Because God wanted it to happen, and it's your fault. Katrina happened because you people in Louisiana are bad, and you're where you're at because God doesn't like you. God hates you. God loves me. Look at me. And that was the way I wanted to play, and I never got a chance to actually do that.
Right.
And I actually sat, like, Sting and I, we had the opportunity, especially because when he was living in California, we were all on the same flights. So I know there was one opportunity where he and I got a chance to sit. We were on the airplane together. We got to sit next to each other and talk. And I said, I wanted to be this guy. Think of how furious it would make most people in the world, to hear them told that God hated them. Like, the reasons that things were going badly for them was because God was mad at them. They weren't God's favorite. That God didn't love them. God was angry at them. And I think Sting was a little taken aback. Like, especially, like, the same look on your face when I said, 9/11 happened because of God. It's your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what kind of anger would that take? Especially the people who are actually touched by 9/11, to hear a guy get on television and say, it's your fault.
Did that even go on TV with standards and practices with
No, and that was part of the reason too. I think that's part of the reason that sort of failed, was because I couldn't go all the way. I never got that opportunity to come out and say this happened, that happened because of that. So
let me pause this real quick.
Sure. So that was my mentality. I talked to Sting about being a character, and I think Sting was a little uncomfortable with the idea of using God as a prop in a story, and I understand that, because his beliefs are real, and it's not a put on facade. It's how he feels and what has helped him through his life. And so I remember talking to him about it, and like the idea of God brought me to TNA to punish those that did wrong, and I was the penance that the baby faces had to go through, in my mind.
Right.
And I think that he might have been a little like, I don't know about that, which was fine, So anyway, I think the thing that sort of did that in, though, was I was always presented as a secondary a secondary opponent to Sting. Like when this was all going on, and I was talking about Sting was Sting was my inspiration, and this is why I was acting. There was always something else going on with Sting that was more important to Sting than me. Like he was involved with matches with Rhino or Abyss or things like that, and it was never about me specifically. And then one thing that happened was I want to say it was a series of matches to qualify for the King of the Mountain match that was going to happen at Slammiversary, and he was wrestling Joe. Sting was wrestling Joe, and I came out and I tried to help him against Joe, and he spurned me, and then I turned on it.
Right.
So right then and there, I turn on Sting. Sting's no longer in the King of the Mountain match. They should have said the next week should have been Sting versus Christopher Daniels at Slammiversary, but instead Vince booked a deal where I apologized to Sting. We were in a promo together. I was supposed to apologize to Sting, and then Sting was going to have a tag match where the winner of the match got into the King of the Mountain, and then I was going to be his partner for it. I wasn't his original partner. I was going to be his partner, and then I was going to turn on him again. So we were basically, I had turned on Sting, and Vince booked it where I would apologize, be his friend for an hour, and then turn on him again. And I said, wait, we're already where we need to be. We're already where we need to be. Why are we going around in a circle to get right where we are again? And he goes, just do it, bro. Just do it. And I was like, nah. So
what do you think his rationale was?
I don't know. I don't know if... here's what I think. To him, Sting versus Christopher Daniels wasn't marquee. Which then begs the question, why the fuck are you even booking it then, if that's not the marquee? It could have been, but... Like, I think his mentality is, well, let's tease Sting in the King of the Mountain match, and that'll get more people, oh, maybe he's going to be in King of the Mountain, maybe he's going to be in King of the Mountain. And then, like, it wasn't until the go-home show that, oh, well, Sting's not in King of the Mountain, and now it's Sting versus Christopher Daniels. So, finally, we get to Nashville, and this is the first time I've wrestled Sting, and I'm thinking, all right, well, if this thing is going to have any legs, I have to do something to win. I don't necessarily have to beat him clean, but I have to beat him to have something to go on for him to want to get revenge. I get there, 9 minutes, Sting up clean. And I go to Vince. Vince, what's happening? What are we doing? Where do we go from here? He goes, bro, it's not working. I'm sorry. We're gonna. This is the end of the program, and we're gonna do something different with you at the end. And I went, what do you mean it's the end of the program? Why not? Why? If it didn't work, why didn't you come to me and say this isn't working? Let's change this, bro. I know. I'm sorry, man. And I said, look, you told me that this was supposed to get me over. How is it going to get me over if the entire time we did this feud, you've presented me as not important enough to Sting to focus on? You've been dealing with Abyss, you've been dealing with the world title, and I'm not important enough to be Sting's focus. You don't announce the match until the day before, the last TV before the show, and now he beats me in the first match we have, and we're done. How is anybody going to look at me now as a threat to Sting if this is the way you've booked me? Bro, I'm sorry, bro. And I was like, okay.
And there's nobody else you can talk to, right?
No, like that was the decision. Right. Bro, we need you. And then the next thing that happened was they decided to put us back together as Triple X. And, and my point was, well, of course I'm not going to get over if you can't present me as a viable threat to Sting. Then no one's going to believe I'm a viable threat to Sting. If you don't tell them I'm a viable threat, I'm not a viable threat.
Right.
So of course I'm not going to get over.
When you hear Russo say, like, he didn't know what to do with you and stuff, as far as your character goes, when you hear stuff like that, how does it make you feel?
I just feel like, I sometimes think Vince doesn't put any effort into our thoughts. Or at least, if he doesn't have any idea, at least listen to ours. If I had an idea, and I thought it was good, if I present it to you, and you say, that's a good idea, but we're going to do this instead, at least have a better idea. Don't ask for an idea from me, and then when I give it, disregard it and not do something better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the problem for me. And this goes back to, why are you doing this? If you don't know why you're doing it, don't do it. I always had reasons for why I pitched certain things. And if I pitched an idea and you don't have anything else from me, why not use that idea? If you have something better, that's fine. But if not, just, you know, your idea is good, but we're not going to use it. What else are you going to do? Oh, nothing.